Good day buddies. It's only been 2 months since their last update, but I'm already receiving lots of update requests. On our wild ghost ant colony, we're trying to domesticate. We move them on this DIY ant farm, and last time it's been as clear as this on the outworld. But right now it's already look like this, lots of them chilling outside the nest. If we look closer, some broods and even queens can also be spotted here. It's been a hard time cleaning their multiple waste area, since a lot of them is present here. We couldn't use the vacuum, as many would be injured or killed on the process. I know some of you have been asking now, why so many of these girls are staying outside. So, let's check their nest. From here it looks spacious, since the background is white. But we can easily see lots of brood, if we suddenly change the background. But considering the free space inside the nest, it's still enough to house most of the workers outside. But I come to think maybe the ants don't like wide nesting chambers. They're dry-loving species, but we can't say that their nest is moist or too humid, as it's really too dry now in my opinion. So we're going to make and move them to a new ant farm today, with smaller or tighter chambers, and let's see how it goes. One more thing, or reason to move them buddies, are this. We've already noticed it before on their last video, in which they started dumping this waste-like things here. Though I'm not yet sure if this are waste or food areas, as it kinda like the dining area of our massive pet Tetromurium colony. Though I don't think it should be near the moist area, like what they're doing here. So, what we're going to make them is an ant farm without a wet area. We're giving them one with water tower, and see if they will like it. We're going to make a version of the milk teacup formicarium, for small ants. Since the space of the huge cave on this is designed for big ants, and will be wasted if small ants like our ghost ants colony occupies them. Just imagine, they could only stay on the flooring, ceiling, and on the walls. All space in between will be wasted. Main reason why we're making a version suitable for our tiny, pet ants. Using this milk teacup, which we already drilled a hole for entrance or ventilation. Most of the procedures will be similar to the first version, like making this space for water reservoir at the bottom. We're filling it with sand. And on how much amount of sand, it depends on how much amount of water we want to stand by. I guess this amount is now good enough, and would probably last for several weeks or a month worth of hydration. We'll just flatten it a bit, and manually create a little mound of sand here, for the water tower. I also elevated this part here, to create a spot for the hydration hole later on. Then we're now setting the first layer of our thick sanded grout. Next is we're now covering the top of the sand mound with a 100 micron mesh. Topping the center part of the mesh with a thin layer of sand, to secure way of the water tower's evaporation. Then we're sealing the mesh on place, by surrounding it with the mixture. We're now going to start creating the chambers. The first one is just on top of the water tower, which will make it the most humid and deepest part of the nest. Just a small cave like that, for our tiny creatures. I just decided this time to make this ant farm, to have a double water tower. So we're late on installing this tubing. We'll push it all the way to the bedrock. I mean the sand below. We're going to make twisting tunnels next, which is inspired by one of our previous build. The DIY pillar ant farm with spiral chambers. We're going to run it all around, with just a thickness around 1 centimeter. We want them to go upward, so we're also going to slowly elevate the level of the grout. Main reason why I'm using a super thick grout mixture so it won't level. or flatten while we're working. We'll continue the tunnel making, and alternately elevating the grout around for the spiral effect. To be able to go upward, we're also covering the previously made tunnels including the cave. Before we forgot, let's also install a tubing for the entrance, which we're going to align with the tunnels. We want to surround the tubing with grout for better security. To be able to do that, we're going to do a little turn on the sand door tunnels here. Just like this. We covered the top of the tubing with sand. We again elevated the grout layer by covering the previous, or lower chambers. Then continue the construction of the twisting chambers until we reach the level of the second water tower. Of course, we also made another cave on top of the second water tower. And just repeat the same process we did on the first one. We just continue the process until we reach the very top. Then we made a little turn on the end of the tunnel, or the sand for the top entrance. Then proceed to cover the remaining part with grout. Then top it with sand for a better texture. You can set stones, or artificial plant decorations if you'd like. But since I want this one to be as simple as possible, the sand toppings is just enough. We'll just press the sand to the grout to stick them. And before we travel to the future to check the outcome, and move our pet ant colony here, let me give a shout out to our buddy, the Aquaversine. Let me also say welcome back, buddies. And for those new to the channel, you're also to D Colony. And here's our new DIY ant farm. We already remove it from the cup, and also remove the sand that we used to construct the tunnels. We have the first cave here, and the spiral chambers all the way to the second cave. Anyway, we already removed the tubing for the second water tower, and all the way to the top. We have the nicely done entrance here. This ant farm is now ready, so we're installing it to a new cup. And create an entrance hole using cutter. We'll just slowly do it like this. And done. For the cover, we also cut the lid to make a bigger opening. Applied flow-on barrier to prevent escapees. Then inject water to make the nest humid. Let's try this level of water for now. We're ready to introduce it to the colony, using this port here to easily connect them. I'm sure this nest can accommodate the whole colony, so if they all move in, we'll definitely disconnecting the old nest, but if they ever decided to use both, that's fine as well. The first worker goes in to explore, and immediately followed by a bunch as expected. As fast as they were, they reached the top floor or the new outworld in no time. I'm glad to see them as happy as this for the new place. I'm hoping they will not mess the new nest like the old one. But if they really need to make a feeding area like our Tetramorium colony, I guess it can't be helped. And we'll need to move them regularly, for the nest maintenance. Or we can also move them to a planted tank, for an easier life. After several hours, since the discovery of the new ant farm, I guess they're already considering to move the broods. About this dual water tower formicarium, and this move of the colony. Soon on their future update. I just hope you have learned something from this video, guys. Be a genie for the first time, by granting my wish and tapping the like and share button, that would help a lot. This is D Colony, saying goodbye. For now. But hoping to see you on my next videos.